It always feels good when you are appreciated. SLT non-stop broadband. Free loyalty data added as you stay connected.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, possible coronavirus landfall. 2 women suspected to be carriers of the deadly novel coronavirus hospitalized as death toll in China shoots to 41. IGP's first appearance. Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara concedes that Azad Saleh promised to hand over Marvanella vandalism suspects. Mental preparation. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa hints at willingness to work with the president after the general election. All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Saturday, the 25th of January 2020.
මේ සීන් එකෙන් කට් වෙන්න ඇන්ටිජර්ම් මවුත්වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Hi.
Hi.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamike Kananga. Let's start with your local stories. Reports have emerged that 2 women suspected to have contracted the novel coronavirus have been admitted to the infectious disease hospital in Colombo. Health authorities, however, say that it is yet to be confirmed whether the 2 women actually carry the much-feared virus. Director of the IDH, Dr. Asit Attanayake, said the 2 women are identified as a Sri Lankan medical student from China and a tourist also from China. Samples of blood and phlegm obtained from the suspected patients have been sent to the Colombo Medical Research Institute for testing.
This is breaking news on AdaDerana 24.
Now, as you may have guessed, this is just in. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has ordered Foreign Secretary to take measures to bring down all Sri Lankan students in the city of Wuhan of China with immediate effect. President also directed national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines to facilitate the movement of Sri Lankan students currently in the region affected by the contagious coronavirus. Now, let me repeat, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has ordered the Foreign Secretary to take measures to bring down all Sri Lankan students in the city of Wuhan in the Hubei province in China with immediate effect. Now, the directive is given by the head of state to a national carrier as well to facilitate the movement of Sri Lankan students currently in the region affected by the contagious coronavirus.
This is breaking news on AdaDerana 24.
Now, the world is now grappling with the outbreak of the novel coronavirus, which originated from China and is now spreading to other countries as well. But the situation has still not been declared a global health emergency by the World Health Organization. The death toll caused by the virus in China jumped to 41 overnight, hinting that containing the virus might be difficult than previously anticipated. Speaking to First at 9, Deputy Chief of Mission at Sri Lanka's Embassy in China, K. Yoganathan, confirmed that most of the Sri Lankan students in the city of Wuhan, which is considered the nexus of the outbreak, left for the island before the outbreak of the virus. With a host of other countries reporting confirmed cases, it might be time for Sri Lankan authorities to give the matter some serious thought.
The outbreak of what's now known as novel coronavirus 2019 nCoV is a new strain, one that we've never encountered before and one that can kill. It is believed to have originated at the city of Wuhan in China, and now the virus threatens to spread across the world. With so little known about the new virus, scientists fear that the number of deaths it causes could rise dramatically. The virus seems to start with a fever followed by a dry cough and then leads to shortness of breath. But in most severe cases, infection can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure and even death. Most victims have been elderly people suffering from other chronic diseases, including Parkinson's and diabetes. This is a festive time for the Chinese people world over, and their New Year dawned today, but under the dark cloud of this coronavirus outbreak. Yesterday, the death toll attributed to the virus stood at 26, but today it has made a significant jump to 41, with all 15 new deaths being reported from Wuhan in China. As things stand, the total number of confirmed cases is at least 1,300 in China, with over 25 overseas cases compounding the crisis. Chinese authorities have greatly expanded a travel lockdown in central China to include 12 cities near the center of the outbreak, effectively penning in 35 million people. Australia, Malaysia and Nepal all reported their first confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus today. Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, South Korea, Malaysia, Japan, Taiwan, Macau and the United States have all reported verified cases. The virus has also spread to Europe, with France today giving confirmation of 3 cases. For Sri Lanka, the threat of the virus could be at the country's doorstep, with media reporting that 3 cases suspected to be coronavirus-related being reported from India. With a population of over 1.2 billion people and most living in abject poverty, India might find it difficult to control a spread. What's more, thousands of Sri Lankans visit India on a frequent basis. Some measures have been taken by Sri Lankan authorities to detect carriers of the novel coronavirus entering the country. They largely involve thermal scanners set up at the Bandaranaike International Airport, the country's main point of entry. But will it be enough? Can Sri Lanka succeed where other technologically advanced countries with ample resources failed?
There is a risk that this disease can come into the country, but necessary precautions has been implemented already, especially at the Bandaranaike International Airport, as well as on board people will be informed that if they are having high fever, cough and cold or difficulty in breathing, to report immediately to the health desk at the Bandaranaike International Airport. If such, they will be admitted to the National Infectious Disease Hospital at Angoda and will be investigated and treated. And as well as the people who are coming from other countries, and if they develop disease of suggestive of respiratory illness like high fever, cough and cold, especially within 2 weeks after coming to the country, that they should promptly seek medical advice from a qualified medical personnel, and also they should reveal their travel history to the doctor to exclude possibility of novel coronavirus infection. We kindly ask medical practitioners to inquire the travel history from the people if they are coming with the symptoms of respiratory illnesses.
After 2 days of talks, the World Health Organization decided the outbreak doesn't warrant the declaration of an international emergency. A consultant for the WHO, Dr. Alexandra Phelan, however, thinks otherwise.
Generally, border screenings through just symptoms like that doesn't pick people up. During the SARS outbreak, it was not very effective. During past flu outbreaks, pandemic flu, it has not been necessarily very effective. 50-50 wanted to declare and did not want to declare or believe that a global emergency existed. I agree with the 50% or so that believe that a public health emergency of international concern does exist. The main reason for that, from my perspective, is the legal criteria. So this is a declaration under international law, and from my perspective, the legal criteria have been met. There is a really legitimate reason why you want WHO leadership coming out, making clear that this is a public health emergency of international concern, and also putting in place now recommendations on what states should or should not do in response. In 2002-2003, when there was the SARS outbreak, there was a lot of concern following that China had not been open with sharing information and actually sort of covered up the outbreak for a long time. And so the international community came together and revised a piece of international law called the International Health Regulations that essentially sets out obligations on countries and the WHO about how to respond to an infectious disease outbreak.
Dr. Phelan's view, however, is not supported by Sri Lankan authorities, who think that the novel coronavirus is far from being a global emergency.
World Health Organization still has not declared this as a global health emergency. We also agree with that. With the current context, there is no necessary to declare like that. Taken into all the evidences that are available and the rate of spread of the disease and the ways that it can be contained, they are trading these diseases, whether it is public health emergency or severe public health emergency or otherwise. At the moment, the WHO has advised to implement screening of the people visiting from the China or some other country that is having this disease, and I think that is adequate even for Sri Lanka. WHO has released interim guidance for the management of novel coronavirus infections, and we are prepared to manage the people in that way if such patients are encountered by our medical authorities.
Meanwhile, First at 9 also contacted the Deputy Chief of Mission at Sri Lanka's embassy in China, K. Yoganathan, to get an assessment on the ground-level situation in Wuhan, a city where there is a considerable Sri Lankan student presence.
There were around 85 Sri Lankan students in Wuhan, but most of the students have gone back to Sri Lanka before the outbreak of the virus. Currently, we have around 30 students in Wuhan and we are in touch with them, and we are providing necessary advices to them to take all precautionary measures to avoid infection. We are trying our best to help the students be safe. If necessary, we are exploring all the possibilities to evacuate them to Colombo. The Chinese government is taking all the necessary measures, advising their citizens and foreigners to take necessary precaution to prevent infection. Now the Wuhan city is closed down to avoid the disease spreading to other parts of the country, and we are closely monitoring the situation. We have created several WeChat groups based on provinces so they can communicate with the embassy officials. We have nominated 4 senior officials of the embassy, and we have asked the Sri Lankan community in China to contact the embassy at any time. If any parents or relatives in Sri Lanka, they want to know any more information about well-being of their relatives or children, they can contact the embassy official at any time.
Now, moving on with other local stories, IGP Pujit Jayasundara, who is currently in remand custody over failing to prevent the Easter Sunday attacks, despite there being 4 warnings, gave evidence before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the attacks for the first time. He conceded that former Western Province Governor Asad Saleh contacted him and expressed readiness to hand over the suspects in the Mavanella statue damaging incident. In the meantime, 2 locals from Mavanella who played a role in capturing the suspects in the case also gave evidence before the Commission today. They told the Commission that the duo was never called for a witness identification process.
The proceedings of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday attacks got underway at around 10 this morning, with former Governor of the Western Province Asad Saleh giving evidence for a 3rd day. Subsequently, it was the turn of 2 locals from Mavanella who played a role in capturing one of the 2 suspects involved in damaging statues of Lord Buddha in Mavanella. They told the Commission that they managed to capture 2 suspects December 26, 2018 when they were freeing on the motorcycle after inflicting damages to the statues. They added that one of the suspects managed to free himself following a tussle, but the remaining suspect was handed over to the Mavanella police, which then transferred him to the Kegaul police. Both witnesses told the Commission that they were never called for a suspect identification parade. In the meantime, one of the witnesses said that he went to the Mavanella police seeking protection after the media revelation of explosives being discovered from the area of Vanathavillua. He noted that no action has been forthcoming about his request for security. The 2 witnesses went on to say that following media reports of a suspect identified as Sadiq being captured while in hiding in a footwear shop in Gampula after the Easter Sunday attacks, the duo identified him as one of the suspects who absconded after damaging statues of Lord Buddha. In the meantime, IGP Pujit Jayasundara, who is in remand custody over failing to prevent the Easter Sunday attacks, despite there being 4 warnings, gave evidence before the Commission today, marking his first ever appearance before the Commission. The State Council questioned the IGP whether he verbally instructed the CID to launch investigations on the day statues of Lord Buddha were damaged. The IGP responded saying that he did give verbal instruction but he cannot remember the exact date, and he asked DIG Ravi Senaviratne to take over the investigation. He also said that he cannot recall giving verbal instruction to former CID Director Shania Besekara on investigations. The State Council asked the IGP whether Shania Besekara, accompanied by CID officers, went to Mavanalla upon his instructions. In response, the IGP said that the responsibility lies with the senior DIG and Shania Besekara may have gone there upon his instructions. The IGP was also asked whether he received a telephone call on December 29, 2018 from Asad Saleh over damaging statues of Lord Buddha. While accepting that Saleh called him, the IGP said that he cannot recall the date. He added that Saleh informed him the need to give details of the 2 suspects pertaining to damaging the statues in Mavanalla. He went on to say that Saleh informed him that the 2 suspects can be handed over via their fathers. In addition to Asad Saleh, the IGP said that Kabir Hashim also contacted him over the incident in Mavanalla. The commission questioned him as to whether politicians make queries on the progress of investigations in police matters. While conceding that to be true, the IGP said that they at times exert influence to push their agenda, with instances of partial conduct by them also common.
We'll see you again on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today declared open the country's first ever National Centre for Children with Disabilities. Dubbed the Ayati Centre, the facility will provide services free of charge and will address both mental and physical disabilities.
Sri Lanka's first National Centre for Children with Disabilities, named as the Ayati Centre, which will provide services free of charge, was declared open today under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The Ayati Centre has been constructed on a block of land provided by the University of Kelaniya, which has also agreed to provide with clinical support. The faculty is an investment of 550 million rupees, with Hema's Holdings and MA's Holdings being the main financiers. The Sri Lankan Army provided the required manpower to complete the construction of the centre within 13 months at no cost. Meanwhile, Rotary provided the necessary audiology equipment. The clinic will address both mental and physical disabilities, and it also provides speech and language therapy, audiology, physiotherapy, family therapy, occupational therapy, and many more services. The centre also consists of a state-of-the-art audiology unit, Sri Lanka's first sensory room, a multidisciplinary training centre, and research and development facilities, in addition to other clinical support services.
Now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the government will take necessary measures to identify temples with shortcomings and attend to their needs. The Premier's remarks came during a visit to the Bodhimalu Temple in Anuradhapura today.
Prior to arriving at the Bodhimalu Temple, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Agunoche Muslim Vidyalaya in Horopatana. The Premier later called at the Bodhimalu Temple in Valahaviddavavu and engaged in religious observances. The Premier also presided over the unveiling of the newly built pinnacle at the Bodhimalu Temple.
අපේ හාමුදුරුවෝ වෙනවා අපිට ඒ දවස්වල ලක්ෂ 250 300ක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණා ඊළඟ තියෙනවා ලක්ෂ 50 ඉතුරු ටික අර කොහොම හරි දෙන්නේ. සමහර පන්සල්වල වැසිකිළියක් නැහැ. ඉතින් අපි මේක දැක්කා. දැන් අපි නියම කරලා තියෙනවා බෞද්ධ අමාත්‍යාංශයට වහාම ඒ පන්සල් අඳුරගෙන ඒ පන්සල් සියල්ලටම මූලිකව ඒ අවශ්‍යතාවයන් ඊවන රුසුවල බලලා ඒ දුප්පත් පන්සල් ගොඩනගීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය පියවර ගන්න.
Now, in the meantime, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says that he is willing to work with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa following what he hopes will be a victory in the general election. Addressing a public gathering today, the opposition leader, who is mooted for the UNP leadership role as well by a faction within the party, insisted that titles and positions are not worthy of betrayals.
A public rally was held today to felicitate all those who supported the United National Party during the presidential election at Madagiriya in Polonnaruwa under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
තොරතුරු ඇවිල්ලා තියෙද්දි මේ වගේ ප්‍රහාරයක් එල්ල වෙනවා කියලා දුවයි පුතයි පවුලත් එක්ක ගිහිල්ලා ඉන්දියාවේ කෝවිලක් ඇඳලා ඊළඟ දවසේ ගියා සිංගප්පූරු ගිහිල්ලා shopping කරනකොට තමයි බෝම්බෙපත් උනේ. අපේ කර්මයක් මොකද කරන කර්මයක්ද මන් දන්නේ මොනවා හරි හොඳක් වෙනකොට මෛත්‍රී ළඟට යනවා නරකයක් වෙනකොට අපේ පැත්තට එනවා. එහෙම තමයි පහුගිය කාලේ උනේ. ඒ වගේම අපේ ඇමතිවරු සමහර අය හිටියා. සමහර අය උඩ හිටියේ. ජනතාවට හම්බෙන්න බෑ. අපිට හම්බෙන්න බෑ. සමහරු මේ ගැන හිතුවේ නැහැ. පොඩි മന്ത്രിවරු ගැන හිතුවේ නැහැ. කටයුතු කරපු ඇමතිවරු හිටියා.
අපේ පක්ෂයේ තියෙන එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි හැම වෙලාවෙම පක්ෂ නායකත්වයේ විවේචනය කරන එක. මං හිතන්නේ ඒක පක්ෂයට ලොකු හානියක්. පක්ෂ නායකත්වයට ගරු කරන්නට විශේෂයෙන්ම මැති ඇමතිවරු දැනගන්නට ඕන. ඒ වගේම පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු දැනගන්නට ඕන. ඒ වගේම පාක්ෂිකයෝ දැනගන්නට ඕන. අද අනික් පක්ෂ මේ තරම් ඉදිරියට යන්න පුළුවන් උනේ තමන්ගේ පක්ෂ නායකත්වයට ගරු කරන නිසායි. ඒ ආදර්ශය අපි ගන්නට ඕන.
අනිවාර්යෙන්ම පොදු ජනතාව ජීවත් කරන යුගය අපි පාර්ලිමේන්තු ජයග්‍රහණයෙන් මැතිවරණ ජයග්‍රහණයෙන් අපි ආරම්භ කරනවා. මට කිසිම ගැටලුවක් නැහැ ජනාධිපතිතුමත් එක්ක එකට වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න. මේ අම්මා කියනවා කීයක් කපලද? 10,000ක් කපලලු රණවිරුවන්ගේ. මම නෙවෙයි කියන්නේ මේ අම්මා කෙනෙක්. රණවිරුව අම්මා කෙනෙක්. ඉතින් මං අහන්න කැමති මේක සෞභාග්‍යයේ දැක්මද එහෙම නැත්නම් සෞභාග්‍ය සම්පන්න කැපිල්ලද කියලා. කිසිම දවසකට අපි තනතුරු තානාන්තර පට්ටම් සඳහා පාවා දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ, වෙන් වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ, කැඩෙන්නෙත් නැහැ, බෙදෙන්නෙත් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, certain MPs of the United National Party expressed their views regarding the United National Party's leadership crisis.
හිට 26 වෙනිදා කොළඹ ජාත්‍යන්තර ප්‍රදර්ශන හා සම්මේලන ශාලාවේදී පැවැත්වෙනවා සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමා ලංකාවෙම එක්සත් ජාතික පෙරමුණ හා සම්බන්ධ පළාත් පාලන මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් සහ අපේක්ෂකයන් හමු වී වර්තමාන දේශපාලන තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරන එතුමාගේ ස්ථාවරයන් පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරන ප්‍රධාන දේශපාලන හමුවක්. එක්සත් ජාතික පෙරමුණේ සියලුම නායකයන්, පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්, හිටපු පළාත් සභා මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් සහ ආසන සංවිධායකවරුන් සහභාගී වෙනවා.
මේකට ඉතින් කැමති කෙනෙකුට එන්න පුළුවන්, කැමති කෙනෙකුට සහයෝගය දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේක එක්සත් ජාතික පෙරමුණේ සන්දානයේ පළාත් පාලන නියෝජිතයින්ගේ හමුවක් තමයි පැවැත්වෙන්නේ. සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්තයාගේ නායකත්වයෙන් විතරමයි මේ සන්දානයේ මැතිවරණයට තරඟ කිරීම සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ.
Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman points out that the current low inflation environment and muted inflation pressures have created some space for fiscal as well as monetary stimulus to boost dampened economic activity. Addressing the 61st annual general meeting of the National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka recently, the CBSL chief said that the regulator will continue its current accommodating monetary policy while supporting the government to achieve growth expectations. Central Bank is expected to maintain inflation within a range of 4 to 6% going forward.
At the macroeconomic policy level, there are the continuing balance of payments difficulties, the shortfall of non-debt creating capital inflows, large fiscal deficit and high public debt levels. In order to resolve the continuing socio-economic problems, thereby putting the country on a sustainable path of rapid and inclusive growth, changes in the policy framework so far pursued are required. Innovative and dynamic policy strategies need to be introduced and faithfully implemented. I believe this is the commitment of the present government authority. Being a small country closely integrated to the world economy, policy problems faced by Sri Lanka are due significantly to factors of global origin. In addition, obviously, to those emanating from domestic developments and policy failures. The global trade cycle, the movements in the world economic growth rate, behavior of world inflation, interest rate movements, commodity price movements and exchange rate fluctuation are among the major global factors of significance here. Factors of domestic origin are well known, rising out of the patterns of behavior of the people and organizations, also policy failures. The low levels of inflation which prevailed over the recent past has produced the benefits which economic theory attributes to low level of inflation. Low inflation has also contributed to maintain stable political conditions in the country. The central bank, given its mandate, will continue to strive to maintain inflation within a range of 4 to 6%, through a transparent, coherent, and accountable monetary policy framework. The low inflation environment and muted inflationary pressures also create some space for fiscal as well as monetary stimulus to work, boosting economic activity.
Now, the world oil prices hit their lowest since late July, with crude sinking more than 2% and Brent hitting its biggest weekly decline in more than a year. Brent crude settled at $60.69 a barrel, down by $1.35. The week started on a flattering note for oil prices after a port blockade in Libya threatened to cut off the entire production of OPEC's African member. The coronavirus outbreak also continued to pressure prices. Analysts say a slowdown in China's economy would impact demand, as China is the world's largest crude importer and is also the second largest oil consumer behind the United States. Some believe this is an indication that the market is assuming that the coronavirus situation will get worse before it gets better. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said he was optimistic about the chances of a trade deal between the United States and Britain this year, adding that he met Britain's finance minister today to discuss it. Having earlier spoken to British Finance Minister Sajid Javid at the World Economic Forum in Davos, the U.S. Treasury Secretary said, "We're focused on trying to get this done this year because we think it's important for both of us." He said that after the United States recently concluded the initial phase of a trade agreement with China, deals with Britain and the European Union were now the focus. While he conceded that Britain may not need to finalize some issues with the European Union before it could discuss them with Washington, he didn't see this as creating a delay. We'll be back with news from overseas on the other side of this break. Bear with us. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Pentagon announced yesterday that 34 U.S. troops were diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries following the Iranian attack on their base in Iraq. President Donald Trump had previously said that no Americans were injured in the January 8 strike, which came in retaliation to the U.S. killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Trump had cited this supposed lack of injuries in his decision not to strike back against Iran. However, last week, the Pentagon said that 11 service members had been treated for concussion symptoms from the attack. When asked about the discrepancy this week at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Trump said that there was nothing serious to report, as he didn't consider the brain injuries as serious in comparison to other injuries he has seen. According to a Pentagon spokesperson, troops are still under medical observation. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.